Welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason.
Yes, it's the Skeptic Zone podcast, episode number 795 for the 31st of December 2023. Richard Saunders coming to you from the Skeptic Zone Studios here in Sydney, Australia. We're going to start with another look back at some skeptical archives, this time focusing on quackery in pharmacies, in chemist shops. For years I've been collecting flyers and information and other bits and pieces from pharmacies relating to quackery. Not that pharmacies are there fighting quackery, they are actively promoting quackery, homeopathy, iridology, and so on. And just quickly, I do talk about iridology in today's first segment, and to refresh your memory, or if you're new to skepticism, iridology is the idea that the patterns made by the iris can somehow tell your health, can give clues or something like that. They don't. Anyway, quackery in pharmacies, lots of ducks coming up at the top of the show. Following that is part one of a three-part series of interviews with Susan Gerbic by Maynard. Now, Susan was here right in the studio, right in the Skeptic Zone Studios, a couple of weeks ago, and Maynard took the opportunity to interview her about her work at Wikipedia. And this week, we're going to discover what it's like to be a GSOW, Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia editor, and how people get on Wikipedia. You might have wondered, why some people on Wikipedia have their wiki pages, while other prominent people don't? That's something Susan knows all about. And it was very nice to host Susan right here. Then to round off the show in the Trove segment, I look into references in Australian printed history for lucky charms. Lucky charms. I wonder if you have a lucky charm or something that you carry about your person sometimes that brings you some comfort. Lucky shoes? Lucky socks? Maybe a pendant or a necklace or something like that. Now, in other news, the documentary, the UFO movie, whoever they are, they don't want you to see, is being seen a lot. Because now, as of yesterday, the documentary is on YouTube. No need to sign up for accounts like some streaming account. No need to pay money to see it. You can click a button and watch it for free. And I suggest you, of course, after you finish listening to The Skeptic Zone, you watch this wonderful documentary, this fascinating documentary by Brian Dunning. How do you do it, you ask? Go to the UFO.movie, and the link will be right there. Or, if you look on the homepage of The Skeptic Zone on the right-hand side, between a picture of Michelle Bickersma, hello Michelle, and myself, you'll find a link for the UFO movie they don't want you to see. And as a request, personal request from me, I encourage you not only to see it, but share the link, share the news on your socials, tell people about it. It's simply one of the best no-nonsense, interesting documentaries. The part with my friend Mick West, where he disassembles those famous so-called UFO videos from the military, is just wonderful. Stay tuned at the end of the episode for another important announcement regarding Maynard. But now it's time for me, and for the last time in 2023, to run downstairs, and it's a coffee and biscuits morning. Biscuits. Biscuits mean different things to different people, depending on the country you're in. Biscuits here are sort of more like cookies. Biscuits in the United States, where I spend a lot of time, are completely different. They're more substantial. They're I can't get my head around what a biscuit is in the United States. Well, I run downstairs and do that. I hope you enjoy the Skeptic Zone. Now, on last week's episode, I brought you some bits and pieces of clippings, photographs, keepsakes, flyers to do with the paranormal, alternative health, and whatever I've collected over the years. And people enjoyed that, so I thought I would bring you a few more from my archives. And I noticed that some years ago I was collecting quite a few flyers and whatnot from pharmacies, from chemist shops. And the reason I was doing that is because even to this very day, a lot of chemist shops here in Australia, and I know in the United States too, sell nonsense, woo, quackery. And in my archives here, I've got, for example, a photograph taken from outside a pharmacy in Hobart, Tasmania, many years ago. And the sign in the window says, herbal medicine, homeopathics, herbal teas, practitioner ranges, I don't know what that means, flower essence, aromatherapy essential oils. And another photograph here from a chain called Harrison's Pharmacy, probably from a Sydney shopping centre, magnetic energy. Oh, in the last decade or so, magnetic blankets, magnetic underlay, magnetic bracelets were all the rage, and sold in many pharmacies, sadly. And ironically, I have a flyer here, or a poster that was in the window of a pharmacy, when the pharmacists were worried that supermarkets were going to be selling various medications. Supermarkets do sell various medications, nothing that you can get on prescription though. And the poster here says, supermarkets and your health don't mix. Had any trained health advice from your supermarket lately? Our staff can answer your questions about medicines. It's your choice and your well-being. Ask your community pharmacist for the facts. Thanks for your support. And it's really ironic because, and especially at the time this poster was in the window, probably 10 or so years ago, you could walk into a pharmacy and get absolutely rubbish advice from naturopaths and iridologists and so on. So it's quite ironic. And to bring home the point, I have a flyer here, or an information leaflet, that I collected some years ago from Harrison's Health and Beauty Pharmacy, that was, at the time I collected this, at the Broadway Shopping Centre here in Sydney. And this flyer I collected some years ago, it's green. The flyer is green. Free consultations, Thursdays and Fridays. Naturopathic clinic, herbal remedies, flower essences, nutritional advice, iridology. Please make your appointment at the front counter or call on, and there's a number, during business hours. Consultations are free of charge for customers of Harrison's Pharmacy and worth every cent. Naturopathic services at Harrison's Pharmacy, Broadway. Naturopathy. Naturopathy is an umbrella term which includes different holistic and natural healing therapies. As a naturopathic practitioner, I promote health and well-being by encouraging you to take an active part in your own healing process and by using natural foods and medicines. During your consultation, we'll discuss the cause of your health concerns by identifying the internal and environmental factors which suppress your vital force. Remember, this is at a pharmacy. To optimize your healing outcome, I provide you with dietary advice, may prescribe and dispense a herbal medicine, flower essences, and recommend nutritional supplements. Other times I might refer you to other allied medical practitioners, such as a chiropractor or a kinesiologist. And of course, they mean an applied kinesiologist, the quackery of muscle testing. Iridology. Iridology is a diagnostic tool I use especially in your initial naturopathic appointment. I do this to access your overall health and to understand how your body is working. Your eyes reveal your constitutional makeup and inherent health tendencies. The way the fibers are packed in your iris, their shape and particular signs and colours give me a snapshot of your being as a whole. By observing these signs, it is possible to draw very useful information in regard to the most appropriate lifestyle options and beneficial dietary choices for you. And no doubt, this person actually really and truly believed all this. Stress, physical, emotional, and mental issues cause a variety of symptoms in the individual. Normally, the body has the capacity to respond and adapt to stress. Many times we adapt to situations without realizing how far off our normal we are going. Disease processes are made worse by pushing ourselves too hard and ignoring the important signs the body is sending us. Longevity and well-being can be enhanced by bringing awareness to those emotional, mental, physical, and nutritional issues that may be hindering our enjoyment of life. At Harrison's, the nutritional and diet section at Harrison's Pharmacy has a comprehensive, high-quality range of nutritional supplements and herbs, or herbs if you're in North America, including Blackmore's, Natural Nutrition, Bauer, and Bauer make homeopathic sugar pills, Martin and Pleasance, I'm not sure what they do, and Life Stream, to name a few. Harrison's Pharmacy. Broadway also counts with a full herbal dispensary, bark flower remedies, and Australian bush flower essences, apart from practitioner-only products of excellent quality. The consultation. I'm available for consultations on Thursdays and Fridays. Consultations at Harrison's Pharmacy are free of charge for customers of the pharmacy. Bookings are essential. The consultation takes about 40 minutes, is absolutely confidential, and records are kept according to our ethic standards. Well, there you go. Harrison's Pharmacy, Health and Beauty. And at the time I collected that was at the Broadway Shopping Centre. I have not checked there lately. I know that shopping centre very well. Here's another one from many years ago from Pierce's Chem Mart, Woy Woy. Woy Woy is north of Sydney. In fact, I went to high school. The last 2 years of high school I went to Woy Woy High School, and they were very forgettable, unpleasant years. Another story. Anyway, iridology. Naturopath, iridologist, Kimberly Richardson. Discover what your eyes reveal about you. Iridology is based on the belief that the state of the person's health can be seen in the eye. Iridology is capable of revealing body weaknesses, nutritional and chemical imbalances, stress, hereditary illnesses, health of the digestive system. Is there anything it can't do? Acid-alkaline levels, and injury or degradation of tissues and organs, and much more. So there you go. Bookings on, and there's a number given, probably long since not being used, and the cost was $13. Again, just reinforcing the fact that this quackery was being offered at pharmacies where you would expect to receive good advice. And here's another flyer from the Harrison's Pharmacy again. Harrison's Health Focus, which looks to be a page out of a magazine. And this one lists the Harrison's at Ashfield Mall. Again, a a shopping area I know, which is not too far from where I live. This issue's focus, iridology. There has been a growing interest in natural alternatives for the prevention and treatment of diseases, especially chronic long-lasting ailments. Iridology, for example, has now become more widely accepted by the general population. Oh yes? That's a bold statement. Harrison's Pharmacy has just obtained a state-of-the-art... You can't make this up. Harrison's Pharmacy has just obtained a state-of-the-art iridology machine. With the help of this machine, Mercedes, our naturopath, will help you identify potential health problems early before they become serious. This will allow you to take steps to correct these problems by using natural medicines, diets, or nutrients, it says, as preventative measures. In May, we are planning iridology screening in store. The screenings will take about 20 minutes and cost $15. As space is limited, we encourage you to call us and make your appointment early. In this newsletter, we have prepared a few articles to help you learn more about iridology and the many benefits it offers. You're invited, it says... You're invited to take part in our next iridology screening. Where? Harrison's Pharmacy, Ashfield Mall, Ashfield. When? Wednesday the 19th of May. Cost $15. All right. And this looks like it was collected in the year 2004. And scrolling through some of the other pictures and things I've collected, I have a picture of our reporter and my great friend Dr. Rachie from Dr. Rachie Reports. Dr. Rachel Dunlop, who's now studying and practicing and doing very, very vital research work in the United States. Here she is, probably around the year 2010, in a pharmacy, and I think it was Harrison's Pharmacy. In fact, she's standing in front of a homeopathic shelf, holding up the Brower Sleep and Insomnia packet. Brower Natural Medicine, Sleep and Insomnia Relief, tablets. Relief of sleeplessness and insomnia, assists in a good night's sleep. Relief of sleeplessness due to mental overactivity or anxiety. 80 tablets, homeopathic product. And of course, we know exactly how worthwhile that is. And sadly, I have a picture here taken towards the prescriptions counter at a pharmacy, although I can't quite tell what it is. But on the shelf, right where you would hand in or receive your prescriptions, we have bracelets for arthritis, those brass or copper bracelets. We also have a stand of homeopathic lollipops for children, so they can be relieved of their colds or whatever it is. And just getting back to the naturopath in the store in Ashfield, I have a picture of a poster in the pharmacy window from many years ago, probably around 2004. Naturopath in store. Mercedes Deverio, I think it's pronounced ND. ND, and we know that stands for not a doctor. Every Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Consultations are free of charge. Digestive complaints, skin conditions, arthritis, rheumatism, weight loss, dietary advice. Bookings are essential. Here we have a line of products that I have not seen for many years, taken in a pharmacy window. Therapeutic magnetic mattress underlay, biomagnetic, drug-free. And from an Amcol chemist, another chain of pharmacies, in the store here there was a big poster, free natural health advice, available now with our fully trained natural health advisor. And you can only wonder what that meant. Oh, and just getting back to those homeopathic lollipops. I have more photographs I've just discovered of those. Key Sun, and these are still available. I'm sure I've seen these not too long ago in pharmacies, which is a very sad state of affairs. Key Sun, all natural kids cold. Temporary relief, cold and flu symptoms, headache, fever, runny and stuffy and runny nose, sneezing. No sugar, no alcohol, great taste. 10 raspberry-flavoured, individually wrapped lozenges on a stick. Non-drowsy, no preservatives. Aged 2 and up, made in Australia. Homeopathic product. And there's the photograph on the cover of this product as a little boy, I don't know, maybe 6 years old, looking so sad with a thermometer in his mouth and presumably the mother's hand on his forehead. Directions. For best results, begin taking 1 kid's cold at the first sign of a cough, cold or sore throat. Suck kid's cold and avoid chewing, as it reduces absorption of the active ingredients. Recommended dosage 3 per day. Use only when symptoms exist. Not to be used in children under 2 years of age without medical advice. Who do these people think they are? Indications. For natural, temporary relief of cold symptoms, headache, stuffy nose, nasal discharge, watery eyes, sneezing, coughing, chills. If symptoms persist, consult a healthcare professional. Store below 30 degrees. 30 degrees C. Now, you know when they say if symptoms persist, consult a healthcare professional, they mean a naturopath. They don't mean a doctor. On the back of the packet it says, homeopathy is a 200-year-old system of medicine which uses highly dilute substances to treat illnesses and activate the body's own natural defense mechanisms. Well, they should be prosecuted under the Trade Descriptions Act because it does not use highly dilute substances. As we know, homeopathic products are a scam. Kids' coal is made from plants and mineral extracts which have been diluted homeopathically to a 30C potency, which doesn't exist. The ingredients of kids' colds are traditionally used to relieve thick and green nasal mucus, yellowish runny mucus, stuffy nose, watery mucus with a great deal of sneezing, wonderful, watery mucus without sneezing, slimy yellow mucus with nasal obstruction, watery nose, nasal obstruction, headache, stuffy colds, sniffles, bunged up at night and outdoors. Then there's a list of ingredients, but as normal with homeopathic products, they're in Latin, which gives it a false sense of, or a false degree of credibility. Warning! If symptoms persist or worsen suddenly, consult your health care specialist. If they don't say, consult your GP. Keep this and all other medicine out of reach of children. And another photograph here has a row of these homeopathic lollipops. We have kids' travel sickness, kids' throat, kids' cold, kids' cough and throat. And the prices at the time, probably over 10 years ago, the prices were about $12 a packet. So there you are, a quick wrap up of some of the other clippings and things I have collected over the years, focusing on the quackery, the scams and the shams that were available at various Australian pharmacies and to an extent still are. In fact, I think this might be a future report for the Skeptic Zone or the Skeptic magazine, a survey around Sydney at least of quackery still available in pharmacies. We won't have to travel far to find examples even today.
The UFO movie They Don't Want You to See is now available on YouTube. This new feature-length independent documentary reveals the real science behind the popular UFO craze. In an age when misinformation, alternative facts, and conspiracy theories have become mainstream, UFOs have risen to become one of the most talked about pop culture phenomena. What is in our skies? What do we know, and how do we know it? And most importantly, are we being visited? Science does have most of these answers, and we're working on answering the rest of them. The film features experts in physics and relativity, exobiology, exoplanetary spectral analysis, image analysis, pilot training and air traffic control, and defense. To watch it now, visit the UFO.movie for links to all the streaming options. Rent to watch ad-free, or stream on YouTube to watch free with ads. The UFO.movie, now available.
Here's Maynard's spooky action at a distance.
Well, Skeptic Zone listeners, we're here in the Skeptic Zone studio with that Susan Gerbic, of course, who is head of the Guerrilla Skeptics. And I've actually listened to a couple of paranormal podcasts where your name has come up. And certainly the Guerrilla Skeptics have been mentioned. And it's always like, the skeptics are just getting in there and making stuff up and ruining it. That is what I hear from them. And that must come to you from those people from time to time. And how do you defend that when they say that? Because you've got a pretty clear defense.
Oh, I'm so proud. I'm so proud whenever they call me out and they call me Ms. Gerbic. They're so deferential to me, and I actually appreciate that. And it feels empowering, like we're actually getting some work done.
Well, the people that you've written about that I think there's Rupert Sheldrake is definitely one, and the guy who was doing the sort of ancient aliens, chariots of the gods thing recently, and he was on Netflix with his documentary talking about there's been civilizations before us. I can't remember his name, unfortunately.
I don't remember ever being called out by him, but Rupert Sheldrake, yes, absolutely. He's been talking about me, even in some of his lectures, since about 2013. And the odd thing is we've never edited his Wikipedia page. We've never had anything to do with it, any of the things associated with Rupert Sheldrake, because it's not that relevant anymore. We're on to UFOs and we're on to vaccinations. We don't care about plants talking to each other across mountain ranges and ESP and things like that. That's kind of a low fruit right now.
Well, the fact your brain could be just a receiver receiving something from the id, that sounds pretty big.
Oh, yes. I think that, well, my editors can work on whatever they want, but Rupert Sheldrake has got such a big ego. He thinks that we're all always concentrating on him. He sent me emails and, we've had some polite conversations, and he seems to be a nice man.
Well, there are people that seem to assign some sort of malice to what you're doing. But if you had some malice, you couldn't do that because you have to back up what you change and write, don't you?
Oh, yes. We've had quite a bit of how should I say this? A little bit of pushback, even from the people who are skeptics, the other editors of Wikipedia, because to be frank with you, if I was watching what we are doing, if I knew of a group like ours, I would be a little bit terrified of us because we do it behind the scenes. We talk about, we make discussions and we train and we motivate each other from behind the scenes and in places where people who are other editors may not be able to venture. And so it does seem like there is a secret cabal out there.
A shadowy secret cabal.
Well, we are called the Secret Cabal. Our group is called the Secret Cabal. I have a secret cabal in Facebook. It's a secret. Well, I'm telling you guys because we're all friends here, right? But it is, you can't just find it. It is hidden away. You have to be one of my members of the Wikipedia group to be there. But we talk about should we use Australian English? Should we use American English? We talk about punctuation. We discuss just misspellings and things like that. It's nothing going on. But you have to trust me because,
Well, the thing I found frustrating about Wikipedia myself, if there's something you disagree with, you can't ring someone up and talk to them about it. And also there's a certain language. It's got its own language, Wikipedia, which for the outsider can be fairly daunting and can see like it's like some smarty person's club that you're not allowed to be a member of initially.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Maynard. And this is something that I'm adamant about because when I first started to edit Wikipedia, I almost got banned multiple times. And, we're laughing because we know. And I don't know how anybody edits without having somebody to mentor them, to explain the language, to explain the rules, because it's made up of people who are the type of person who would read like code books and textbooks for fun. I don't get it at all. And I think we're losing a whole world of people out there who have a lot to contribute, who are not those kind of people who want to read textbooks. And I mean code, no. I do have a lot of editors who do write code and things like that. But I also have a lot of editors who are like myself that are trained in totally different areas. I mean, I'm a baby photographer. My goodness, I shouldn't be running a group like this. I shouldn't be teaching people this kind of thing. But purposefully, I tried not to learn the language of the Wikipedians because I rarely use it because I want to stay at the level of a beginner, at least in my vocabulary. I don't want people to come into my program, start the training, and then we just hit them with a bunch of jargon. So we do it very simply. I have maybe 10 different things that they learn in one of the first lessons of the common jargon of a Wikipedian. And after that, it's a slow transition to learn more and more. But I do think you're absolutely right. Those people who try to edit for the first few times by themselves without a mentor or a group or somebody to talk to, I don't know why they don't run screaming for the hills. It's just awful. It's awful.
And are the people who have been doing Wikipedia for a while and the people that are very invested in it, can they be a little bit perhaps lacking in social skills sometimes when they're talking to someone who's made a mistake, which will put them off as well? That's part of it. That's what got me, yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it is something we call it, there is a phrase in the Wikipedia lore, it's called don't bite the newbies, don't attack them. We have one of our principles is being assume good faith, which means that don't assume malice when it's probably just the fact that they're inexperienced. And so we try that, but it gets frustrating because the amount of vandalism and the amount of things that people try to do maliciously is real. And it's an incredible amount of nonsense you have to put up with. But then there is intertwined with that a lot of people who are genuinely just trying to make a change. They don't understand that you have to have a citation or what that even means. I mean, my gosh, I do all the training for our program and it can be very confusing. And I don't even have an easy way to explain it sometimes. Sometimes somebody will ask me about a concept like notability. Who can have a Wikipedia page? There's no glib answer. I mean, I could hand you a document to read and it's like word salad and goes on for pages and pages and still isn't clear.
Yes, a lot of people ask that because is it a certain level of fame? Is it a certain level of experience or attribution? Yeah, what is it? Is there an easy answer for it?
No, there isn't an easy answer. And it kind of depends. Like if you were a person, you have to stand out from among your peers. And you have a Wikipedia page because you stand out from amongst your peers. And we have to have citations to prove it. So your peers have to write or talk about you in a place that's also notable. So like if there's information about you in notable places, which means they have Wikipedia pages, or your detractors or your supporters or people who are talking about you, that is what gives you the Wikipedia page. So if you could be an absolutely amazing person with a ton of followers. I mean, you could be the world's biggest podcaster with millions of followers.
Perhaps you're talking about an Instagram influencer here.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Those people, good example. Those people are not going to get a Wikipedia page because they're popular or famous. They have to have citations, and those citations have to be from more or less their peers or from and printed in place. Printed, I say printed, but I mean it could be online. But from magazines or from journals or from not like a website, but newspapers. It's a fine line, and it's very difficult to explain to people in a glib answer. It's just not as easy as people think it is.
Yeah. Well, my career straddled both periods, the digital age and pre-digital there. Is it hard to get a Wikipedia entry for someone pre-digital because there aren't as many, you can't search for it as easily if it's before 1990 or 1980?
Absolutely, yes. We have had that, and that's a really great question. We want to look at how their scope of their time is. I mean, if you're living in a time before digital and you are trying to be, you're a local famous person, you're in the papers, not like you're doing a gig somewhere, but like somebody saying, oh, wow, this person had a big influence on my life and now look at me, or this person is notable because they're, I can't even think of something off the top of my head. It can get confusing, but so it can be much more difficult because we have written for Wikipedia pages for people who were famous in their community, famous in their small little rural or county or whatever. And they don't have the coverage they get. It's notable, but it's almost marginal notable. But it's hard to get recognized outside of your community. But now, of course, because of the internet, it's much easier to get recognized outside of your community. But then again, there's so much competition. Whereas before, when it was newspapers and radio and things like that, you didn't have quite as much competition. So it's a little bit of this. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of another.
Look, it's been publicly told to me that you were using my Wikipedia page live on stage in Melbourne. Was that okay? I mean, were those photos all right? I mean, I'm not quite sure which one you were using.
Yes, I did use your picture, and I used a screenshot of your Wikipedia page, and I put it up on the screen in Melbourne. Yeah.
Oh, and there wasn't someone at the back going, boo.
No, absolutely not. They were like, oh, yeah. It was, yeah, of course, yeah. And it's the picture of you. If you look at your Wikipedia page, it says Maynard on it, and it's a picture of you skydiving, I believe.
I was in a biplane, flying around, doing acrobatics. Yes.
Absolutely. You weren't walking on the wing that time.
Look, I would have liked to, but I had this trick where as it was doing the acrobatics and it would go a certain way, I'd just close my eyes and open them again. And that is a really good trick for not getting air sick. Particularly when you're doing loop-the-loop in a tiger moth. It was a biplane. And, and it's only got a little 4-cylinder engine at the front, and it's got a wooden propeller which could snap at any moment.
It's a great image. It really is. But I thought you were skydiving for some reason.
Well, I did think of skydiving once or twice, and I was asked to go skydiving when I was with Channel V, cable television in Australia, and I just thought, I just didn't want to do that. I don't think I could do that. But acrobatics in a biplane, no problem.
It really is a great image. I hope all the listeners will go and check it out because it's a great Wikipedia page. We really want to do those kinds of things. We want to make. We want to tell stories about people, not gossipy stories. We don't get into the personal stuff, but I want people around the world who are looking for careers or looking for inspiration from other people and say, hey, that is really cool. Yeah. I could do that, maybe.
And there's one section, no matter who you are, if you've got a Wikipedia, you never want a section that's called Aftermath. You never want that section. Because that means something bad had to happen at some stage. You've done something wrong. People have done something, Aftermath. You don't want that section.
You don't want a crime section. No, you don't want to go, none of that. And, and the death part is kind of depressing, if there's a legacy and death and things. No, let's not go there.
It's amazing how quick people are to, if someone dies. I've never heard of someone's death, gone to Wikipedia, and it hasn't been altered already.
Absolutely. I keep saying absolutely. I don't know why I say absolutely so much, but I am absolutely sure that is true. I swear there are people who are in New Zealand right now in a totally different time zone where the sun comes up and there's somebody sitting there looking at all the newspapers and going, they're dead, they're dead, they're dead. I'm going to go update Wikipedia. It's like almost a game with people to see who can update it first. And they're in New Zealand. I know they are, followed by Australia. And then by the time they get to the United States, well, it's already done. That's what I think. I really do. I think there's people that's all they do is they get up in the morning, rush down and get their paper or, hit refresh a bunch of times until finally the news is out and they rush to get the page updated. I really think that's what some people do.
Susan Gerbic, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Maynard. Hi, everyone. This is Susan Gerbic from the Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia project. We're always looking for editors from all around the world. If you think this might be something of interest to you, please reach out to me at susangerbic@yahoo.com, or you can contact me on Facebook. Please send me a friend request and send me a private message. I'd love to hear from you.
Now it's time once again to head back to those archives at Trove at trove.nla.gov.au, the online repository, the vault, the, dare we say it, the trove of digital information, specifically digitised newspapers and magazines and so forth from Australian history. And in keeping with our general theme of superstition, skeptical, paranormal, UFOs, that sort of thing, we're going to look at lucky charms. Now, when I was a kid, I had a lucky charm, which was a coin with a hole drilled in it from Kimberley, British Columbia. This was many, many years ago. This was almost 50 years ago. And as a little kid, I soon equated the coin with bad luck. Probably something unfortunate happened. I fell over, I don't know what. But lucky charms have been around since, well, humans, I guess. Something to carry with you. Of course, we've all heard of the famous lucky rabbit's foot, which isn't very lucky for the rabbit. Something to keep about your person as like a security blanket in an odd sort of way. So let's look back through the archives. We land in the year 1938 from the Truth newspaper from Brisbane on the 19th of June. Lucky charms. We study our hardest to pass the exam and tremble for fear when we get stuck. Then, to make sure at the end, we just cram and wear a black cat for good luck. We enter the schoolroom, and as we look around, our pulses beat fast with alarm, for black cats and elephants seem to abound. Each student is wearing some charm. They surely can't all be at the top of the tree. No good on a charm to depend. We'll just have to work, if happy we'll be, and earn all we get in the end. And that's credited to Helen Escher Buckridge, age 15 years, I think it says here, of Oxley Central, who scores a blue mark, 5 points. I guess that was some sort of competition going at the time. And now a short item from the Westralian Worker from Perth, dated the 3rd of September 1948. Lucky charms. Lucky charms have been worn by mankind for at least 10,000 years. It would be charming to be lucky enough to win first prize, £3,000, in the number 437 Charities Constitution. Tickets are on sale throughout the metropolitan area. There we go. You better get in quick to get your ticket in that seemingly charity lottery. And now the Australian Women's Weekly, dated the 2nd of March 1940. Lucky charms. And this appears to be a letter to the editor. I am amazed at the number of intelligent women who possess, as well as believe in, lucky charms. I could never believe them to be luck bringers, though I do realise that the possession creates a feeling of expectancy and the expectation of good luck buoys a person up. It's delightful to anticipate good fortune, but absurd to imagine that a piece of tawdry imitation jewellery is likely to hasten its advent. And that's from Miss G. McClure, Altona, Ararat, Victoria. Good advice from that correspondent. Now let's see what's in the Molong Express and Western District's Advertiser, dated the 4th of February 1933. Lucky charms. Is there such a thing as luck? You read such a lot these days about lucky charms. Charms are often credited with winning fortunes for people, but in many cases the people do not really exist. One lucky charm, however, which will stand any investigation, is the one which is given away by Lucky Fred, who holds the record for buying winning lottery tickets in the New South Wales State Lottery. If you clip out his paragraph and send it with a stamped addressed envelope bearing your name and address, a postal note for 6 shillings, I think that says, to Lucky Fred, Box 3908TT, GPO Sydney. Here is what he will send you. One of his lucky 5th shares in the very next state lottery to be drawn. This can be worth £1,000 cash. One of his own lucky charms, which is beautifully made and bears a horseshoe and Fred's lucky sign. This is made of solid metal, golden in colour, and it has changed the luck of hundreds of people who are wearing it today. In addition, Fred will send you 12 6 shillings tickets in the, and it's a bit unclear, in the Deaf and Blind Kiddies £2,200 Art Union, which will be drawn at 3 p.m. sharp on the 28th of February. One of these tickets can be worth £1,000 or a beautiful £680 Buick car. Fred will write your name on the butts and place them straight into the drawing barrel so you'll have no further trouble. There is no waiting. Your share will be sent in the next lottery to be drawn, and remember, you have 12 chances of winning a wonderful prize in the Art Union, which will be drawn on the 28th of February. Lucky Fred, huh? I wonder who this Lucky Fred was, or whether it was all just part of the marketing for this particular lottery. And what do we have here from the Daily Telegraph from Sydney, dated the 26th of November 1928. Lucky charms. Lucky black cats at each corner and an artistic basket brimming with multicoloured blossoms were featured at a party given at the Ambassadors on Saturday by Madames Watson and Allen to announce the engagement of Miss Elsie Wack of Rozelle to Mr. Albert Flipponi of Drummoyne. Those present were Mrs., as in plural of Miss, R. and B. Woodley, D. Horn, I. Lawrence, D. Connors, M. Smith, E. Formans, M. Kirk, M. Whitnell, M. Lafitte, D. MacLeod. Okay. That was a strange little announcement there, under the title of Lucky Charms. And here's another one, mostly legible, I think, from Labour Call from Melbourne, dated the 2nd of October 1952. New Lucky Charms. A girl who once had to rely for luck on a wishbone or a horseshoe can today take her choice from 400 different charms to dangle on her bracelet. London jewellers have them all in stock, with a new tiny crown as the coronation charm. Coronation charm. Most popular are the London Bobby policeman, reduced to ½ an inch, Tower Bridge with a drawbridge which works, a sentry in the box, and the Lord Mayor's coach. For a romantic typist, there is a typewriter which types "I love you" and a minute telephone which dials the same message. The Daily Telegraph from Brisbane, dated the 10th of June 1925, says, Prince's Lucky Charms. If emblems of good fortune really do possess some subtle quality which ensures success, the Prince of Wales should be one of the luckiest men alive, for His Royal Highness already had at St James Palace, before he left on his latest tour, a wonderful collection of such luck-bringing articles, says the London Star. These have quickly been added to in West Africa, where the natives have presented him with gifts which, in their view at least, should cause the goddess of chance to smile on him for the remainder of his life. One of the most treasured mementos of this kind of his trips abroad is a large piece of greenstone in a handsome casket given to him in New Zealand. And of course there's the carvings, the greenstone carvings from New Zealand are quite dazzling and quite famous. Here's a short item from the Argus from Melbourne, Victoria, dated the 3rd of March 1939. Twins Lucky Charms. In the photograph are twin nurses, it would appear, dressed as nurses would have been dressed in the 1930s with the large headgear. And they seem to have a couple of figures in front of them, including Popeye the Sailor Man. Twins Lucky Charms. These charming twin sisters, Kay and Mamie Budd, wore an imposing array of lucky charms on their cape lapels before entering St. Vincent's Hospital yesterday to sit for their final practical examinations. They have completed 3.5 years training together at the Austin Hospital. It's a sweet little item there with the sisters beaming away. Now, here's something that occurred to me some time ago when I was going through these archives, is that, let's take these twin sisters, for example, who were sitting their exams in 1939. It's quite possible that their descendants, which theoretically could number in the hundreds by now, or at least the tens, would never have seen this, might never have Googled their ancestors. Well, shall I say, gone to Trove and looked up their ancestors. If you're in Australia, and I've done this with my grandparents, in fact, my grandfather, who was the Reverend E.T. Walker, he appears here and there in the pages of Trove. So if you're curious, if you're in Australia especially, if you go to Trove and you type in your grandparents or great-grandparents, you never know. You might find pictures or references to them in Australian newspaper history. And finally, from the Canberra Times, dated the 24th of December, 1971, 52 years ago. With a photograph of a very happy boy here, Jeff Allen, 15, of Braddon, examines his find of a rare 5-leafed clover. A Canberra youth, Jeff Allen, 15, of Braddon, found 4 4-leaf clovers, a 5-leaf, and later a 6-leaf clover at the Squash Centre at Lyndham yesterday. Jeff, who was very excited about it all, brought his finds to the Canberra Times and said he had more of the 4-leaf clovers, but they had been damaged in his pocket. The Parks and Gardens branch of the Department of the Interior said yesterday that 4-leafed clovers were very rare, and 5-leafed ones extremely rare. So to make sure that the leaves were actually clover, Jeff went back to find a plant. The plant was found to be clover and produced a further surprise. Not only was there another 4-leafed clover, but also a 6-leafed one, produced by 2 stems growing together. Well, there you go. Some good luck and good luck charms and all sorts of charms in the pages of Trove, and there are more. There are many more references to lucky charms that I discovered. We might revisit this topic another time. It's quite fun, isn't it? It's and for all the seriousness going on in the world at the moment, it's quite fun to read about lucky clovers in Canberra. And very excited 15-year-old boy here in the photograph. And to think that he would bring that in to the local newspaper and they would deem it worthy of a story. I guess because it just felt good. But you too can feel good or feel interested or all sorts of things when you go to Trove at trove.nla.gov.au, and as I suggest, maybe you look up your ancestors in Australia, because you never know. You never know what you might find. Thank you for listening to The Skeptic Zone, and thank you very much to my Patreons and PayPal supporters and to the new ones who have just come on board in the last week. Thank you very much for coming on board to help The Skeptic Zone. If the Skeptic Zone was a ship, it would have its crew and its support staff. It's one way to look at it, I suppose. Does that make me the captain or the admiral, or maybe I'm in the engine room? It's a strange thought, isn't it? And it reminds me of Solar Flare. If you haven't heard Solar Flare, this is a radio play that I wrote and produced some years ago. If you go to the homepage of Skeptic Zone, scroll to the bottom of the page, near the bottom of the page, you'll see the link to Solar Flare. And it stars some of the Skeptic Zone reporters of the past and the present, and a host of international skeptical guests. It's all a bit tongue-in-cheek, and it's for me, it's wonderful memories making that show. It was great to write it and then to go into a studio and to record that. And speaking of the Skeptic Zone crew, one of our crew, Maynard, who you heard earlier in the show with his interview with Susan Gerbic. Now, he has just finished producing, because I've just seen a rough cut and it's looking great, a special which he will show tonight in Australia, if you go to maynard.com.au, about the village people. Can't stop the music, because every year one of the networks here in Australia, the 9 network, play the movie Can't Stop the Music on New Year's Eve. And Maynard, being a village people fan and knowing the village people, in fact, has made this little, sort of like behind-the-scenes documentary all about Can't Stop the Music. Check it out if you're in Australia or anywhere around the world. In fact, right now, head for maynard.com.au and you can see the details about that. So, hell, why not? Grab a drink, watch the documentary when he broadcasts that tonight. Well, it's not really a documentary. It's just sort of a fun, what can we say? It's a homage to Can't Stop the Music. You can watch that tonight just before the network play the movie and then enjoy New Year's Eve. So no matter where you're listening to me around the world, I hope the next year is a happy one for you and for us all. And certain world situations, I don't need to go into details, I hope they can be resolved, don't we all? But for this week and this month and this year, this is Richard Saunders signing off from Sydney, Australia.
You've been listening to the Skeptic Zone podcast. Please visit our website at www.skepticzone.tv for episodes and show notes with links going back to 2008. You can follow the Skeptic Zone on Facebook, X, TikTok and YouTube by clicking the links at our homepage, together with links to support the show financially via Patreon or PayPal. The Skeptic Zone is an independent production. The views and opinions expressed by our guests are not necessarily those of the Skeptic Zone podcast or any other skeptical organisation.
Hello to those people who listen to me after the music. Where's my others? Just getting my dice machine ready to go. This is where I roll a die, and today it will be a D10, and you use your psychic magic, mystical powers, or your dumb luck, maybe your dumb luck like me, and predict what number will come up on the die. Where's my Skeptic Zone pad so I can write the numbers? Ah, there it is. All right. So I'm going to play along, and this is all done on an honor system. I could easily cheat. I could say, I'm going to predict 5. Oh, look, it's a 5. Aren't I amazing? No, whatever comes up, comes up. So here's the first one. Oh, what is it? I've got a range of 10-sided die here. Dice. It's a lovely purpley color, translucent. In fact, in honor of Susan Gerbic, who was on the show today, I will say 5. All right, so I predict the first number will be 5. Write that down. Here it comes. Here it comes. What do you predict? Here it comes. 3. Oh, well. Here's a lovely blue one. Blue 10-sided die. Okay. Predict. I'm going to predict 3. I'll predict the last number of what just rolled. So 3. Here it comes. 10. Not doing so well. All right. Put that aside. Here's the next one. It's white with sort of red numbers, I think. Yeah, okay. I'm going to predict 10. There you are. I'm not being very creative. 10. Here it comes. And you at home, as they say, you predict 2. 3. 3, 10, and 3. Well, for the last one, for the extra number, I have a D20. A D20. I'm going to, yes, I think I'll just make up a whole new number, something original, something nobody would ever predict. I'm going to predict 5. For the last, no, I did that before, actually. I'm going to predict, what year was this? 23? No, that doesn't work. 3 plus 5. No, that doesn't work either. Come on, numerologists, help me out. You know what? I'm just going to see what number comes up. Here it comes. So, a number from 1 to 20 it is. No way. No, it can't be. The last number for 2023, I kid you not, is 5.